Hi, my name is Christopher, and I'm the head of Accessibility Programs and Disability Inclusion at Google, and I'm the chair of the W3C Immersive Captions Community Group. And I'm pleased to share with you some information about our work in this caption working group. First, a little bit about myself. I'm a failed musician, had aspirations of being an opera singer, but I wasn't very good. I'm a much better technologist. I spent 10 years at Apple, making hardware and software, 3 years at Sony Ericsson making phones, and even a year at Disney making games. And I've been at Google now for almost 9 years, and I'm passionate about the intersection of accessibility and XR. The Immersive Captions Community Group was founded in October 2019 and was a direct result of the XR Access Symposium in July of 2019. Active participants include people who are of the deaf and hard of hearing community, both verbal and use sign, as well as some hearing people. We have people participating from both sides of the Atlantic. About 12 to 15 people meet bi-weekly, exclude 3 ASL interpreters. We're supported by advocacy organizations like the National Association of the Deaf in the United States, industry by Google and Facebook, academia. We have participants from Gallaudet, RIT, University of Salford, Brandeis, as well as accessibility analysts and content creators. In the workgroup, we've discussed research from people within the team and outside experts where we review all aspects of immersive computing and accessibility. We've looked into AR, VR, and games. We've looked at desktop-based experiences and HMD, head-mounted display-based experiences, and we push ourselves not to accept older, comfortable standards. For example, our research showed the very first time we tried this that there was a clear preference to what we expect to see today on television, and we know we don't want to do that. In our research, we've had over 10 presentations of experts ranging from VR developers, university researchers, and even an exciting 18-year-old technologist from India. Well, we originally thought this was going to take 6 months, and over a year later, we're starting to really make some good progress. And to do this, we decided to constrain ourselves. We're starting with VR because, frankly, it has fewer constraints. It's easier to do this. Immersive games over the years have provided some very good and bad examples. It's easier to control the environment, making contrast easier because you don't have the real world around you that you have to compensate for. And there's more visual space, more virtual space for controlling the number of lines, the width of text, and things like that. And I'm really excited to share that we have our first recommendations now going into test. Now, some of the learnings that we had. One of the things we've learned most importantly is that words matter. It was actually quite difficult for us at first to agree upon what we wanted to talk about or how to describe these things. So we came up with some terms that work for us, like headlocked, where when you move your head, say the caption sort of stick with you, versus word locked, it sort of sits there on the sphere, and as you move your head, they don't move around you. Appear in front, then fixed and seen, fixed with position and scene, etc., etc. There's so many different ways of being able to do things. It's hard to come up with the words that mean them all. But what matters is that you come up with is you use the same words, or else you have a really difficult time talking about what you want to do. Another thing to realize is there is no right answer. Our goal is not to just solve this for everybody. That's impossible. Our goal is to come up with a set of recommendations, a default experience, so people can know what to expect out of the box. And then we want to sort of come up with some recommended presets, sort of 3 or 4 different versions that have a bunch of parameters mixed together in logical ways, because we don't want everyone to have to customize every single part of the experience. It gets overwhelming. So we want to make it easier for people to do what they want. And some examples of the things you'll want to adjust are size, fonts, the color, the background, number of lines you want, and things like that. One of the things we also wanted to focus on is not to take the current metaphor, the current way of doing things too similarly. We want to make it better. We don't want to just take what we do with TV. So instead of, in the US, there was a man named Henry Ford who created the Ford Motor Company. And he said if he listened to what people wanted, he would have just built a faster horse instead of building the car. And our research showed there was a clear preference for 2-line headlocked experiences similar to what we will see on TV, but we don't want to stay there. There are too many new opportunities for deeply improving the user experience. And then once we finally know what we want to do, then we have to figure out how we're actually going to code this. What's the right specification? Is it your standard SRT format? Is it TTML, time text markup language? We just need to select an area where to incorporate the object and spatial metadata. That's the most important thing here. It's because since things can be around you, like behind you, you need to have a clear way to understand that they're there. And the player needs to know this. So as you move your head around, it knows where to let you know where these things are. So, for example, here is your traditional subtitle in 2 lines. But because you have the spatial information, where you were looking may not show you what's behind you. So if someone's talking behind you, you can see captions in front of you, but you have no context. So this is a really neat version here, sort of like a game HUD, a heads-up display, that gives you a sense that something's actually behind you. In our research, this actually is a bit complicated. We don't think we're going to be going down, we don't think we're going to recommend a path like this, but this gives you a really neat example of the kind of things that you want to be able to do. So once we realized that we wanted to express these things visually, we needed to have tools. And one, you need to make sure that you have an HMD. And fortunately, Facebook donated Oculus Go's to the members who didn't have an HMD. That was hugely helpful. And then we need to have a prototype. Chris Hughes of iMac fame has built a prototype in his work with iMac, and he's been willing and able to extend it to meet our needs. And this tool is amazing. It's at www.chxr.org/demo. I strongly recommend it, and I'll be showing you just a couple of slides for some images of it. So what you have is you have the perspective within the sphere. You also have a chance to see what it looks flat, and dozens of things that you can tweak. This is the magic of this tool. He can prototype it here. He can take a look at it on the desktop. We can also play it on the head-mounted display. Here's it going in real life with some real video. You can see there's the sphere here, and then what it looks flat, and all of the different options. This is extremely important and extremely valuable for us to be able to be successful. So no one person did this. I as the chair started this, and I'm a naggy person. Anyone who could listen to us in our conversations know that I'm always asking us, what do we need to do next? How do we get to the next spot? What's the right thing to do? So I just want to call out to all of my partners in this. Wendy, Roger, Matt, Larry, Ken, Judy, Johan, Howard, Hazal, H, George, Delbert, Chris, Bill, Ian, and more. We couldn't do this work without them. And I just deeply appreciate the work that they've done and that we've all done together. Thank you very much.